And this is the big news. Cisco, Microsoft, Google, Yahoo, all these big companies are on record. In fact, it was in the Wall Street Journal today with Cisco, with 500,000 cameras to spy on the public. They have helped the Chinese build their control grid of censorship, and so now they're just shutting that up here. That's what cybersecurity is, with the four branches of the military watching and tracking and controlling everything we're doing. And so I want to challenge everyone. Don't just subscribe to our YouTube channel at the Alex Jones channel on YouTube. Take all of our videos and mirror them on your site. A lot of times we'll even link to somebody else's video that's a copy of ours on InfoWars or Prison Planet to send a lot of people to it, because I don't care. In fact, it's not that I don't care. I want you to take our information and our material. I don't get mad that 15 years ago, no one was talking about eugenics and the global planetary operation. I was reading a lot of their original source documents. That no one was talking about cancer, viruses, and the vaccines, and these things, and the fact that I've popularized reality. I mean, the fact that I even have people a decade later, attacking me, saying Alex took my material, and I know full well, that I made films over a decade ago, pioneering that information, or going like We Are Change does and confronting politicians and going into press conferences. The reason I pioneered so many of these things is I was just looking for a way to reach out to people. I was looking for new ways to warn people, because my heart's been in the right place: human survival, human dignity, building something better. And so people shouldn't territorialize any of this information. This is so horrific what we're facing with these eugenicists and world population reduction. The cancer rates doubling in the last 10 years, the diabetes rates doubling in the last 10 years. None of the egos, none of this matters. We are in a fight for our lives against social Darwinists that are completely cold-blooded. We are in a scientific dictatorship with a breakaway civilization on a power trip playing God. We're in a red level emergency, and it is great news at one level that we're being censored and attacked, and you are as well, because it means you're over the target. When you're over the target, you're going to get the flack when you're dropping those info bombs. And the system wants to make things violent. They want to foment revolution. They want to foment provocateurs. We've got to keep this peaceful as long as we can, to try to wake up as many people as we can, so that we can avert the real calamities that are going to make what's happened so far look tame in comparison. And just the great work you're doing is a boon to all of free humanity, my friend. But ladies and gentlemen, you won't know what you got till it's gone. They are coming in now and beta testing the algorithms, the censorship systems, the dirty tricks to kill and stop viral videos. They are scared that I can sit here with my little digital devil, not digital angel, but my little guardian devil that tracks everything I do, and that I could shoot a video, at midnight if I've got a thought, and that 50,000 people are going to watch it. Or that if we put out a highly produced video, 1 million are going to watch it. They're scared that I can get up here and read all the mainline studies that autism is being triggered, not just by mercury in the vaccines, but by the antidepressants that are a toxic chemical. They're mad that major medical journals are coming out and confirming the U.S. has the highest infant mortality rate because of vaccines. Because those big reports come out by good scientists at universities, and it's now ignored by the dinosaur media, but it's not ignored by us. They can't have this one-sided playing field anymore. And 4 or 5 years ago, I knew we were winning. I knew we were absolutely crushing the globalists, but they were so arrogant, they were still, not aware of it. I was always worried that when they figured out the inroads we'd made in waking people up and unlocking minds, that they would clamp things down. And now they figured it out and they're starting it. But the clamp down, if we scream bloody murder, is going to be the biggest awakening ever. People think because we're attacked over and over again that, oh my gosh, we attack, them back and then they attack us. That's what a fight's about. It's like tug of war, with two dogs, pulling on a rope. It's who wants it most, who's got the will to stand up against this evil and this corruption. And if people want to know where they're going to get the will to face evil, just commit yourself and decide it's over. You don't care what the outcome is. You're going 110% against these people. And that is the essence of will. And That's what we've got to do. And so other people like yourself, I mean, look what you've been doing the last few years, now reaching millions of people every month in the aggregate with your podcast, your videos. Start more, do more. Start shooting with your phone when you go to work every day. Uh, Increase the output. Talk to people at grocery store lines. I know you're doing it, but now I am intensifying everything I'm doing, launching the new TV show in the next few months. We're just because we are alive now. We'll rest forever once we're dead for trillions of years in the grave, but we're alive now. And we cannot let these sicko control freaks dominate us. We cannot let these criminals arrogantly destroy our language, destroy our cultures all over the world, and replace it with their globalist corporate Borg system of death. We must resist. We must wake up and fight back. I appreciate you having me on.
Well, thank you so much for your time, but I just wanted to get to one more point before we go. It raises the question because they are going to start engineering the technology itself to put us further onto the cloud. They're going to start taking the hard drives off of our slave devices and everything so that we don't even have the option of storing data locally. What can people do to combat this?
Well, what you're doing right now, first you identify that this architecture, in their own words, has been set up to centralize control, and so they can memory hole information and block people that are resisting tyranny from viral status on the web. They're not concerned about some backwater stuff. They're afraid of the fact that liberty and freedom and the awakening is the hottest thing in the world right now, and it's only getting hotter. It's not a fad. And they admit that. As Hillary said months ago, they're losing the info war. They're panicking. And so you identify that the cloud is bad news, and that and that they are now admitting they're forcing the architecture onto it, and you create a constituency of consumers who vote with their purchases to support other systems. I mean, here's an example under cybersecurity. If they ever pass it and fully implement it, they're already implementing much of it via fiat through the executive and bureaucracy. But it openly says in the Cybersecurity Act that if you have an IT business that serves more than 100 people, and that would count what I do as an IT business, I have subscribers, to prisonplanet.tv, that I'll have to have a federally certified bureaucrat in here, private corporate merc. I'll have to fire my guys if they won't do it, who then certify to keep their license that takeover switches that are in radio and TV stations are in my infrastructure, and that everything is set so the system can spy on what I'm doing, shut it down if they want. So it is a takeover of the entire infrastructure, and it just shows us that, yes, these people are criminal, and they are tyrants, and this is happening. And so, it turns out that we've got CDNs, we've got some cloud type systems, we've got regular server farms, and even though some cloud systems that we've been using for 4 or 5 years before they were called clouds are good systems for us, it's not the technology itself is evil, it's how it's being used, that we're going to change our architecture away from the cloud. I think about 30% of what we do is in a cloud type system, so that no money's going to that, because they've seized that technology and are now using it in an evil way. We need to cut blood supply off, just like they'll go in with surgeries and put clamps on vessels going into a tumor. And so that's a personal decision we're making to start exposing the cloud. And as this incremental cancer grows, that's how every globalist operation works. Incremental, they've learned that's very hard to beat. We will continue to build the movement. We'll be laughed at about the cloud being dangerous at first. Then folks will experience it. Then an opposition will mount. As we take control of our governments and other systems, we will then, there'll be rebellions against the cloud. There'll be new devices coming out in markets where you keep your own systems. There'll be disasters with clouds being hacked, and the service agreements where they can own your content or manipulate it when you're on their clouds. I mean, this is all admitted from the onset, and it's a desperate gambit that they're engaged in, and it's not going to work if we resist it. Resistance to tyranny is obedience to God. Resistance to tyranny is victory. Resistance and having your head screwed on straight and saying, no, 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 no. If we have the attitude of, oh, we can't beat him, it's too big, that's how we got to this position. I mean, if we couldn't beat them, they wouldn't be engaging in all of this. They're scared to death. And, I mean, to use the Star Wars, well, absolutely. But We are beating them, but a lot of people don't realize that. The last domino to fall, as I said earlier, is an Austin American Statesman ad, $300, $400 for a short ad for employees. Craigslist, $5, or free, depending on the type. And you get 200, 300 times the response on what's close to free. Well, it's the same thing with everything else they do. Their architecture, the globalists write about this. They talk about the problem would be overproduction. The problem would be technology would empower people, so that if they ever made knowledge and being informed and science and exploration cool, that we'd have a new renaissance, and then the technocrats wouldn't be in power because they can only rule a dumbed down, distracted, decadent, bread and circus population. So they've cold-bloodedly, think about that, cold-bloodedly. I mean, I'm thrilled at people getting knowledge. I'm thrilled at new knowledge I get. It's fulfilling. And you've got all these poor people who are unfulfilled because they bought into this corporate model that is societal death. And they know that now, as things get darker, we're offering real solutions and real alternatives for human liberty and enlightenment and empowerment. And they're scared to death of it.
Resistance is victory. We are winning. Alex Jones, thank you for your time today.
Thanks for having me.